let's jump right into the 49ers versus Bills because it was ugly, just as I predicted. Um, I just have to say, I was at my little cousin Samuel's birthday party on Friday, and I was talking a little bit of Niners with a couple family friends there, and I was asked like what I thought the score was going to be. I think my aunt might have asked me like what I thought the score might be, and I said a lot to 10. I dead ass said that on Friday. Final score was 35-10. The 49ers got blown out, and really the score. I feel like the score could have been worse in this one. Like this one could have been like 60-10, and I feel like that would have probably told the story a little bit better. I feel like the Bills really, I mean, they just outmatched the 49ers. And Christian McCaffrey went down. And I don't think I mentioned it last week, but I started thinking about like how much of an impact the cold weather might have on somebody who is suffering from bilateral Achilles tendonitis. And that isn't what he ended up suffering. The reported injury is, I guess, a PCL injury that potentially might sideline him for the rest of the season. So that sucks. But at least that seems like an injury that he has more of a chance to recover from than the dreaded Achilles tear. So maybe they might just shut him down for the year because the 49ers are now they're 5-7. They're in last place in the division. They do not hold any tiebreakers over any of the teams that are already ahead of them. The Niners are technically, they're 2 games out of the division. Let me just double check that. I think the Seahawks have 7. So let me see. NFC West, the Seahawks are 7-5, Cardinals 6-6, Rams 6-6, Niners 5-7. So yeah, the Niners would have to win some games in order to get in, but even if they get in, I don't know with this team. This team, they're just not as good as before. Like they're missing a lot of players that they had in the past who were contributing. They're not coached very well. They're just a bad football team right now, or at least middle of the pack. They're gaining a lot of yards. They're not finishing off drives. That I think that's like the biggest thing. They're just not finishing. And, like it almost feels like this entire season is summed up by, I keep going back to it. The scenario where, in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game where Deebo Samuel held Tabor Pepper by the throat. And, like that's the season in a nutshell. It's like the wrong people holding others accountable rather than holding themselves accountable. And to be fair to Deebo today, I think Deebo played well on special teams, but that's not what he's being paid for. I do like the move to him on kickoff return because Deebo, I really feel like Mike and I, we talked about this, right? Deebo would be great at this new kickoff return rule set, right?
Oh, yeah.
Deebo had a lot of returns that went for, past the 40-yard line. He did, however, fumble like late in the game, but it was already garbage time. And the Bills, I think at that point had already pulled their starters from the game, which is crazy. The Niners starters were still in the game. Bills had like their second stringers, and the Niners were still getting bullied around. What more can I tell you? It was an ugly football game. Purdy didn't play well. I'll go ahead and go over the stats. 11 of 18 passing attempts, and mind you, the Niners are behind. And yes, it's snowing, but you're behind. You gotta pass the ball. 94 yards for Purdy, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but he did lose a fumble on a play where it just slipped out of his hand. Jordan Mason had to step in for McCaffrey. McCaffrey had 7 rushes, 53 yards, so very efficient while it lasted. McCaffrey actually looked like he was back to, some resemblance of what he was last season. And
He
then
had me sweating bullets.
yeah, Mike was playing against my brother who had Christian McCaffrey in fantasy football. And my brother is hating life right now, or at least hating fantasy football, and may never play again after this season. We don't know. I really hope that he continues to, but I'm not going to force him to. Jordan Mason stepped in, 13 carries, 78 yards, pretty efficient, 6 yards per carry. But when you're down, it's not going to do it. Isaac Guerendo looked very good in the small sample size when he was in the game. He had 4 carries, 19 yards, and a touchdown. And the touchdown, honestly, it was pretty sweet. It was almost a pass, but it was technically backwards, so it was technically a carry. But he was able to get around to the outside on the left and get in, to the touchdown, showing off his size where he wasn't tackled easily at the goal line, but really, I mean, he had a lot of open space. He showed off his speed, more importantly, like that's what got him the touchdown on that play rather than his size. Let's see, in terms of the wide receivers, Jauan Jennings still is like in the Brandon Ayuk role where, he had 3 receptions, 56 yards, and incredibly efficient. He should be featured a little bit more in the offense, and George Kittle, and we'll talk about him in a second. But 18.7 yards per catch for Jauan Jennings. That's pretty good. Debo had 4 catches for 20 yards. Okay. Like I said, his impact today was mainly on the kickoff return. Christian McCaffrey, before he was out, like McCaffrey was the centerpiece of this offense before he got out. 2 catches for 14 yards. And Jordan Mason did not get a single reception. So I don't know. I feel like to me, you can kind of, in my opinion, just try and plug and play. You might find out that Jordan Mason can actually do some of the things that McCaffrey can do in the passing game. Not everything. McCaffrey's a little bit more, has better hands, but like, I don't know, just changing the entire game plan after one guy goes down, like guys go down in football. So I don't know. I maybe I'm just holding on to the whole reports of Jordan Mason saying, buying that jugs machine in the offseason, but he's looked really good all year. And I think that you could have centered the offense in the passing game a little bit more, to Jordan Mason's side too, especially with Purdy sort of banged up on the shoulder. Kittle, 1 reception, 7 yards. That was his impact today, besides being, a blocker. And Pearsall, still nowhere to be found, no receptions. He did have a target, but he slipped. Isaac Guerendo, 1 reception, -3 yards. So I want to say that was maybe a screenplay that they dialed up for him. But yeah, it was really ugly for the Niners on offense. Josh Allen was fantastic today for the Bills. James Cook was great for the Bills. Ray Davis was also very great. Yeah, the Niners run defense, they really didn't have footing, but I mean, it's a lot of problems that they've been dealing with all season, and they just do not tackle well. I don't know. It's it's demoralizing at this point, but I'm kind of numb to it. Like this season's kind of down the drain. The Niners still have a chance to do something, but I just don't think that this is our year. You can call me unfaithful, but I'm still rocking with my team. It's just like I'm not gonna say the sky is green. Sky is blue, grass is green. I'm not gonna let my eyes or say something different than what my eyes are telling me. So I don't know, Mike. Did you watch much of the game tonight? Did you have any thoughts before I really talk about where this team needs to go going forward?
Well, a few thoughts that I had. You started this whole thing with, this could have been a bigger blowout. If this were the Detroit Lions, you guys would have lost by north of 40 points. Because it would have been nonstop, whereas the Bills pulled their starters, towards the later fourth quarter, if not mid fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the one thing that kept cracking me up in this game was the pre-snap slipping by the players. There's one play where Debo went in motion, and I don't know where his head was pointed, but he didn't see that he was running into Juwan Jennings, and he stepped on his foot. And
did see that one.
as they snap the ball, Juwan Jennings goes, "Oh fuck," and has to keep going. It was just comedy. And then there was a play with the defensive tackle for the Niners, and nobody else in the room.
Yeah, he was in a 4-point stance.
In a 4-point, if not 3-point. And on hike, dude fucking goes to accelerate, and he just belly flops. I was dying laughing, dude. Oh my god. There were Bills players too. It was all over the field, pre-snap especially. It was funny.
You mentioned Jennings kind of getting stepped on by Debo on the motion. Jennings kind of got beat up in this game a little bit.
Yeah,
because all right, there was a play where I think it was McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey got tackled into Jennings's leg, and then Jennings,
say it was Mason, but
it might have been Jordan Mason. One of the running backs got tackled and literally got tackled into Jennings's leg, and then he just gets a face full of snow.
Oh,
for a second before I realized that he was wearing like some sort of face covering, before I realized that, I literally thought he had snow all over his face, but he was just wearing a white, face covering. So
yeah.
By the way, Frank is tuning back into the show. He adds Buffalo showed mercy. I really do feel like Buffalo did show mercy, in their own way, because I mean we've seen the Buffalo Bills really pile it on teams before in the past, in front of their home crowds. That's kind of what I was expecting going into tonight. We didn't get anything that I didn't really expect besides, I mean, McCaffrey.
Yeah. No, they played it exactly how they should have played it, because the other kind of half joke I was going to make was, the only other team that I can think of off the top of my head that would have gone all out on the Niners tonight would have been the 2016 Raiders. And I just say that because of how Derek Carr went down against the Colts in that game where they had it, easily. And Derek Carr's in with 10 minutes left in the game and season's over, So the Bills did what they should do. And the main reason why I said that the Lions would be the team to beat you guys by 40 is because they don't pull their starters. And I really like the Lions. I hope that they go all the way this year, but that shit can nip you in the butt. I've seen it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're really kind of feeling it on the defensive side of the football with all those injuries. So yeah, sometimes you just got to play it smarter. But
if the game's won, the game's won.
I understand Detroit is a well-oiled machine, and they if one of their running backs goes down, they have another one. If one of their receivers goes down, they have another one, or they can distribute the ball in other areas. They're just so good, dude. They're able to really, get everybody involved, and that's crazy. But yeah, in terms of this game, tonight was ugly, as Frank says. CMC has been beat into powder. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can get vintage CMC next season, but it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Instagram or Twitter, but Rashad Jennings, ex-Raider running back and New York Giants running back, I want to say was on Dancing with the Stars. I want to say it was him. He posted a video that showed McCaffrey, I want to say it was on the play that he went down, just on his own. It looked to me like something in his calf, or I mean, this like the way that his video showed it, it sure did look like uh what's he had the tendonitis for? What's it called?
And Achilles.
Achilles tendonitis. It looked like an Achilles injury, but I know they're saying PCL,
Mhm.
and that checks out with like the previous play that he had the big long run and just barely got the shoestring tackle. That like in the replay, it's like, okay, I could see how you could injure your knee on that, but like McCaffrey seemed fine when he got up. And then I saw this video from Rashad Jennings, and it's like, if that video is showing what I think it's showing, that's not good.
No,
But they would have said if it was his Achilles. So I don't know why.
Well, I
I don't
don't
know.
even think they would have said if it was his Achilles. The Niners have been horrible at reporting injuries this year. Like,
Oh, 100%.
they have been horrible. I don't know how the league
Mhm.
doesn't find them for like more accurately reporting it,
Yep.
but in terms of McCaffrey's Achilles, if like that was a rupture right there, because that's honestly like what it would have been given
Yep.
that motion. I know the video that you're talking about. If that's what it would have been, he's not walking
He
off
wouldn't
that
get
field
up.
by himself.
Yeah, he
He
jogged
he
off the
literally
field.
jogged off the field.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I think it
I
was his
agree.
knee, and he knew something was up, so he went down. And
Yep.
like really, I was like, oh no, like I thought like, oh shit, there goes his fucking Achilles, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I don't think it was his Achilles, because also too, you can look at that same video, and Rich Madrid, also very involved in 49ers Twitter. Uh, he also like gave like a snarky, oh, so did his right Achilles rupture as well, because it did like the same movement. I just think like the muscle just
It's just his
naturally
muscles. Yeah.
bounces that way.
Yeah, probably. Um, Damn, I was gonna say something else. Oh, just what? I I don't know what year. All right, that's horrible delivery. Basically, just really bad Madden curse, I'd say. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know the last time that the Madden curse didn't curse somebody. Like, was Josh Allen the cover guy the year before?
yeah. Josh Allen was last year. Mahomes, I want was it Mahomes the year before?
Mahomes and Brady? I think you're thinking maybe Lamar.
Here, let me look. Past Madden cover. Okay. All right. So, last season it was John Madden. Or no. Last season was Josh Allen. Then it was John Madden. Then it was Mahomes and Brady. Then it was Lamar in 2021. Mahomes 2020. Antonio Brown 2019. Brady 2018. Gronk.
Mm,
Yeah. So like,
so forth.
I mean, the Madden curse isn't what it used to be. Like it used to be like
Or
horrible.
maybe it's back.
Maybe it's back, but like,
Maybe. I don't know.
Josh Allen, besides like losing in the playoffs,
Right.
like he already lost in the playoffs before that. John Madden passed away before he was on the cover of Madden. Like that would have been horrible if they put him on the cover and then it's like, oh shit,
Yeah. Yeah,
But no,
whoa.
they did that to honor John Madden, you
Yeah.
know. And Mahomes still won a Super Bowl. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Anyways.
two after being on the cover of that. So, Frank asks, what was up with that one dude's helmet? I don't know
I'm
which
assuming
dude that
he's
you're
talking
referring to.
about the defensive tackle that slipped on the pre-snap. I don't know what his name is. I don't know if he's number 98, 94, but he was wearing the
Guardian cap?
Guardian cap. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what he's
Yeah,
talking
so
about. Literally, like, watching it from my TV, like, being way up on the wall and stuff, it was like watching a glitchy video game. Like, all the Niner players had, like, these shiny, beautiful golden helmets, and there's this one guy with just, like, cloth brown. Just looked weird.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like room for them in the future to put like a different material that would be a little bit more reflective,
Right.
but that would be able to match the color. But I don't know, like it matches the color, but it's just not the same, shininess.
Yeah.
You uh, let's see. But Frank, I guess, says he landed hard on that shoestring tackle, and he probably didn't feel it at first. He might have been hyped or doped up.
Yeah.
I think probably Jennings. But in terms of the helmet, yeah, the NFL has allowed players to do guardian caps, going forward. So there are like these cushions on the outside of the helmet. It's supposed to reduce the impact and help with concussions, but I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any scientific evidence that shows that. I would hope that they release that, but yeah. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. About let's go through the 49ers depth chart as we look forward to their future and sort of think about what they have to do going forward, because they're either going to have to make a decision on Brock Purdy one way or another. And I mean, some players just need to be replaced, or might not be on the team next year. But so I'm looking at the 49ers depth chart. I'm just going to be very surface level with this. Juwan Jennings has to stay. He needs to be a little bit more involved. Ricky Pearsall is obviously going to stay. He needs to replace Debo. Debo's got to go. Debo has got to go. Chris Conley, I think, is replaceable. Jacob Cowing, hopefully he can grow more, going into year 2. Trent Williams, I just hope that he doesn't retire, because him and Dominic Pooney are the bright spots on the offensive line. Everyone else, Aaron Banks is solid most of the time, but, I think that Jake Brendel and Colton McKivitz have to be replaced, especially Jake Brendel. Dude, Jake Brendel's so fucking bad. Jake Brendel is one of the reasons why the Niners offense has not been good this year. He's really bad. I don't know if I just didn't notice him being that bad in the past, but I like watching film. He defenders just kind of push him around. I've sent you a couple clips, right, Mike? Of Brendel.
Oh, yeah.
So Kittle's going to be here. They're not getting rid of Kittle. They need to absolutely do something about that backup tight end position. They need to strengthen that big time. McCaffrey hopefully will be healthy next season. Jordan Mason, the 49ers need to keep him. Garendo's really good too. If it's going to require a lot of money, you can maybe let Jordan Mason walk, but I would prefer to keep him. Yeah. I think for the right price, you keep Jordan Mason. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, for sure. I think I don't know how to say this. I'm not too confident about McCaffrey's health moving forward. So I would be having as much confidence in my depth as possible, and I think Mason and Garendo under Kyle Shanahan can get it done.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you have to keep Mason, I think, and you have to draft another running back. Let's see. Kyle Juszczyk, I think
big fumble tonight.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. Dude, they're at the goal line. They're about to punch it in.
Yeah.
They give it to Kyle Juszczyk. It wasn't the worst play design. It really wasn't. But Kyle Juszczyk has to hold on to that football. He probably would have scored on that play, or may at least been down at the 1.
The pass game was not working very well in this game, even early in this game with McCaffrey. Actually, McCaffrey was really the only part of the passing game that was working early in this game. But the Niners were very much in this game, if not looked like the better team in the first quarter.
Mhm.
And then McCaffrey goes down. You have the Kyle Juszczyk fumble, and it just was lights out from that point on.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Brock Purdy is going to be the biggest question mark of this offseason. What are the 49ers going to do? I think I'm leaning in the you don't pay him top quarterback dollar. I think I've been in that like I think I've been in that boat, but I'm very hardcore on the the Niners shouldn't budge if Purdy's like I want to be the highest paid player. The Niners should not
yeah,
budge. They should
I
find a middle of the pack, sort of number, or like higher end middle of the pack number, if that makes sense. Like
right.
45 million is still a lot of money. Like 45 million, I think is my number.
I'm curious what the franchise tag would get him.
Let me see. Franchise tag cube quarterback.
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
The 2024 non-exclusive franchise tag for a quarterback in the NFL is $38,301,000.
And that will go up with a couple of extensions early this offseason. I'm sure some teams will extend guys.
Yeah.
At least one big name guy probably has to get re-signed, although I don't think there's any big name free agents for this year.
I just want to reiterate, I don't think Purdy's bad. Purdy is not bad.
No.
He's pretty good. Like Purdy I think is really good, but he's not great.
Wow. Yeah.
He's not in the upper echelon tier of quarterbacks, and those are the ones that you should be paying and building your franchise around.
Yeah. I'm definitely curious to see who are all going to be free agents this year for the Niners. Like who has one, who is exactly what I just said, sorry. Because Purdy could definitely be in line for, being the top choice for the franchise tag, and you could tag him for 2 years in a row, I want to say. And that can at least give you time to kind of gauge him a little further. And maybe also keep a shorter leash on somebody like Kyle Shanahan, if that makes sense. Because if, say, in a year or two, you decide, yeah, this really isn't working, you could blow it all up and be fine. But if you have a 5-year deal, top of the market for Brock Purdy, have fun,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think possibly, franchise tagging him is probably the way to go if you're the 49ers. I think it's appropriate. You take it one year at a time, and you don't have to commit to him long term. He makes a lot of money. Obviously, he's going to want to sign a massive extension. Obviously, he's going to want a lot of years on his deal, but
yeah. And I'll say one thing about Purdy. His agent probably won't like it, but I feel like Purdy's the type of guy that's like, whatever, I'm just here to play, And that's genuinely him.
I feel like he will think that he has earned like a top of the line extension, because you have to think about this too. Other quarterbacks have been paid for less.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Dak Prescott is the highest paid player in the NFL. And Dak Prescott has never been to an NFC championship game. Brock Purdy has now played in 3.
Yeah.
No, he's played in 2. But he's been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And played well in the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott can't say that, and he's the highest paid player. Other quarterbacks literally get paid for less. For less production, less accolades in their career. So that's what I'm worried about. The Niners should try and, they should evaluate Purdy this way. Don't evaluate him on what he has done for you, because this is going to be the biggest contract on the team. Evaluate Purdy in the sense of, what is he going to do for you going forward? Is Brock Purdy going to, elevate all the players around him? Brock has done very good at distributing, the football to the great playmakers that have been on the team. When Brock's salary goes up by, like 60 times or 50 times, or let's just say franchise tag 40 times what it is now, you don't have the money to get that talent around him like he has now. There's still going to be talent on the team. Shanahan has done a good job, at least, of bringing talented players to the 49ers. And if Shanahan is going to be the coach going forward, which I don't think they're going to fire him after this season, I just think that committing to Brock to a long-term massive extension, putting him as the highest paid quarterback, they need to go the franchise tag route. That's what I would do. All right, on defense, Leonard Floyd, I think the Niners can upgrade over Leonard Floyd. Gross Matos, I really have not, I don't think he's been that much of an impact player this season. Malik Collins has been solid. I would like to see him sort of, if the Niners can make Malik Collins be more of a depth player rather than the starting defensive tackle, I think that would be better. Obviously, they're missing what's his face? The defensive tackle on IR, tore his tricep. What's his name, Mike?
Sorry.
Javon Hargrave.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. They're missing Hargrave. And he is not what the 49ers signed him to be. Niners they need to work on defensive tackle. The team that has historically drafted defensive tackles in the first round, they need defensive tackles. They got to start stocking up again because that's the bread and butter. That's the bread and butter of what the 49ers used to be, under Shanahan. Stock up, defensive tackle, play really, really physical defense, beat teams up. Now they're kind of a shell on that. They're kind of a shell of themselves on defense. Fred Warner is not going anywhere. Nick Bosa obviously is not going anywhere. Talking about defensive linemen, they need another pass rusher opposite Nick Bosa besides Leonard Floyd. Floyd's solid, but upgrade. And Floyd is old and has played a lot of football already in his career. Devondre Campbell needs to be replaced. He's old. He's slow. I don't know why they aren't playing the other linebackers more. Like D. Winters. I don't know why they're not playing D. Winters more. Charvarius Ward. I didn't talk about Charvarius Ward today, but he was kind of getting picked on a little bit. I think he had a rough game, but it's his first game back in several weeks. I really don't want to be that critical of a guy who's really been going through it, personally. So, I really feel for Charvarius Ward, and, hopefully he can have a better game next week, but it is what it is today. He's not the only reason why the 49ers lost this game against the Bills. And so far the Niners are solid at corner. I like the three-headed monster of Ward, Lenoir, and Green. Ward is probably going to leave in free agency. I don't think that they could pay him and Lenoir. So Niners are going to have to do something about that third cornerback spot because I'm assuming Lenoir is going to I'm assuming Green is going to move up in the depth chart. Jair Brown has had a rough season so far. So Niners might have to consider upgrading on Jair Brown. Malik Mustafa has been hard-hitting, and it's really tough to gauge safety play in the NFL because you don't get the full picture unless, you spend time watching the All-22. But there's only so many hours in the day. And last but not least, Jake Moody needs to be replaced next season. You cannot have Jake Moody as your starting kicker next season. Just can't have it. Yeah, let me take the rest of these comments, and then we will, I guess, do a little bit of a preview next week. There's only so much that we can preview, before the game actually happens, but we can talk about it a little bit. Frank says, if a coaching change is in the 49ers' future, they probably won't make any player personnel changes until the new coaching staff is in place. Yeah, but I think that's the thing. You got to hire the coaches early. Like, if they do move on from Shanahan, they'll probably do it. Like, I'm not saying they're going to, but if it does happen, it's literally going to be the next day after the season ends. They're going to mutually part ways with Shanahan, either after the last game or the next day. And then after that, you start your coaching hiring cycle, and then free agency begins, I guess after the Super Bowl, right? In March, right? Free agency.
Yep.
Frank says Purdy wasn't too bad tonight, given the conditions and circumstances, but that fumble was a huge mistake. Although if that was Brady, they would have called the tuck rule. I mean, I kind of disagree with this comment. I think Purdy didn't play. I don't think that he played very well tonight. I wouldn't say that he was like horrible. Like, I've seen horrible quarterback play, like Ian Book versus the Miami Dolphins. Mike and I are very familiar with that game because of a fantasy football related playoff matchup between us in 2021. But, I will say, given the conditions and circumstances, both teams had to play in it. And if you just look at Purdy versus Josh Allen scored a touchdown on his own pass. Like, he threw that play was so sweet. I'm not a Bills fan. I'm a huge 49er fan. But I mean, when you see something like that, you're just like, wow. Like, if you truly love football, that play is just crazy. I don't know. What did you think of that play, Mike?
Oh, I loved it. Specifically, the heads up play from Amari Cooper to, do the pitch from the get go.
I'm surprised the refs didn't blow it dead.
Yeah, it looked like his knee might have went down, huh?
No. I'm surprised they didn't blow it dead for forward progress, because he was getting driven back, and then that's when he lateraled it. So
yeah, but it was cool. And then Josh Allen, extension,
diving for the pylon. I can never not think of Derek Carr anytime that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But besides that, in terms of Brady, in the tuck rule being called, I do see the parallels of it being in the snow, but I think both were fumbles. Both that tuck rule and this one, fumble. But I do see your point.
Yeah.
On what it would have been called. So, yeah, Mike, let's talk about 49ers versus Bears. What do you think?
Well, they're not going to have McCaffrey against the Bears, and this is going to be in Santa Clara. Right?
Yes.
And the Bears will be without Matt Eberflus. This will be their first game coming off the firing of their head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the head coach is going to be.
They haven't announced that, have they?
Oh, no. They did. It's their offensive coordinator, I think. The offensive coordinator that they appointed.
Shane Waldron?
No, they fired him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, Bears.
Wow, they're going full blown. Okay.
All right. Bears interim coach. Thomas Brown, I think, is going to be the interim coach. Yeah, okay. Thomas Brown. So, yeah. I don't know much about Thomas Brown other than his offense was better than Shane Waldron's for the Bears, because the Bears have actually been scoring points, in the recent weeks.
Yeah.
Who do you like in this game, Mike?
I would say give me the Niners. I think now that McCaffrey's gone, they'll actually – I mean, they were doing it against the Bills. They were running the ball. They were playing, like, more physical football. And even without Trent Williams and I believe their backup left guard in there against the Bills, like they were running the ball effectively until McCaffrey went down. And even, I mean, Mason was running fine. It's just they became one dimensional because they weren't passing the ball very well in that snow. And that's really where my only concern is with the Niners versus this Bears team is Brock Purdy in the passing game. You know, if Brock Purdy still has an issue with his shoulder, excuse me, dude, good Lord. That would be my main concern for the Niners losing this game. But I think with the Bears coming in with a new coach, I'll say that if the Niners lose this game, this is a bad look. But I don't think you guys are out of the running for the division yet. So this is a must-win game. I'm picking the Niners.
I do agree. One thing that like kind of catches me a little bit off guard is just the fact that like, you know, typically teams when they fire their head coach and they hire, you know, an interim coach, there's like a little bit of a surge at first. You know, we saw it last season with the Raiders and Antonio Pierce firsthand. You know, we talked about it so much so that Antonio Pierce is still the head coach of the Raiders today, right? But I do agree. The 49ers, I don't think are going to give up on the season, even if it's like highly unlikely that they're going to make it. This is a winnable game for them. I think they can shut down DeAndre Swift. They have to contain Caleb Williams, you know, from scrambling a lot, because Caleb plays that game where he likes to, you know, similar to Russell Wilson, like early on in his career, he'll go back far in the pocket. He will run backwards and look to be making a play down the field, similar to Russell Wilson early on. And I don't know. I think the Bears have good receivers. I like Rome Odunze. I like Keenan Allen, and I like you know, DJ Moore is a good playmaker. And in terms of their defense actually, they have a good secondary. The Bears defense is their strength on that team. Would you say so, Mike?
I believe, if not last season, early this season, yes. Like, I know on paper their offense should be better. And you know, if this offensive coordinator, this interim guy, has them playing better, like I think what might happen now is Caleb Williams might get more of like a longer leash to lead the offense. But I don't know if that matters. They have a talented defense, to your point, for sure.
Okay, let's recap their past couple of games. Okay, so they should have beaten the Lions or had an opportunity to at least tie that game if their coach wasn't a moron, and that's why he's not the coach this week. Yeah. Dude, that was horrible. That was the worst clock management I've ever seen.
It was bad. Like it should have been a timeout for sure. But also, like, rewatching the play just one time, I was sitting there going, what is Caleb doing?
Williams, yeah. He was taking his sweet-ass time.
He was asleep at the wheel, dude.
Yeah.
Both of them were. Like,
I think it's on both.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
so they had an opportunity to beat the Lions and held them to 23 points. The Vikings, that one was sort of a high-scoring game. It was 30-27. Keep in mind, the Bears are putting up points on good. These are two good defenses that the Bears, you know, have scored at least 20. The game against the Packers, they won off of they lost off of a, you know, blocked field goal that would have won them the game, right?
Yeah.
And then the game before that was with the, you know, Shane Waldron as the offensive coordinator. They only put up 3 points against the Patriots. So I don't know. The Bears are, I mean, they're also a defeated team. Like they're better now. Well, that's yet to be seen with Thomas Brown, but with the new offensive coordinator, who I think is actually Thomas Brown. Don't quote me on that. They're better than what they were, but you lose enough games, close games, you're just kind of out of it. And so, what they're 4-8, right, Mike?
It sounds about
Bears
right. If not 5 wins.
Niners have 5 wins. You know, these teams, I mean, if you're going by the old Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are, these teams aren't that far apart. But I like the Niners in this one because there's still a small sliver of hope just for the division. But I think Seattle would have to melt down for the Niners to win the division.
Yeah, and the Cardinals, to be honest with you.
True.
Like I know the Cardinals and Rams are tied right now, but something tells me the Cardinals can actually win this division. Because I feel like they have more firepower and maybe oddly might be more consistent than the Seahawks. Like the Seahawks almost didn't win this week. Or did they? Did they even beat the Jets? No, they beat them.
Did.
They beat them. They beat them.
They almost lost.
They
to
almost
the Jets.
did. But they almost did.
Jets were coming off a bye though.
Yeah.
And the thing about the Jets too, it really pissed me off because they were coming off a bye and there was no injury reported for Breece Hall, and I literally dropped Braylon Allen.
Oh, I knew that fired you up. I knew
the night before. The night before that report came out.
Yep. I was laughing to myself. I didn't put a bid in on him or anything. I knew I wasn't going to get him, but literally I saw that you cut him, and then like 5 minutes later I got the alert. Breece Hall questionable. Everybody fire up those Braylon Allen engines. I was like,
dude. I was listening to fantasy podcasts too, and they even mentioned like handcuffs that you should be stashing, right? Yeah. And not once was Braylon Allen even named. And then I don't regret. I didn't end up putting a bid back for Braylon.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the report. Breece was like back at practice and everything, and you know I really like him as a player. I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but you know, it was just the fact that I decided, yeah, you know what? Maybe this Breece Hall, you know, like this backfield is clearly not getting taken over, and I don't think Breece Hall is going to suffer an injury. You know, there's only a couple weeks left, and I wasn't in love with the schedule, you know, with the remaining schedule, but. So I finally, you know, I'm like, I'm peeling the Band-Aid off. and then the next morning, you know, Breece Hall injury report. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about that. I'm glad that I'm glad I got that off my chest.
No, dude, I'm laughing at what Tyler just sent in the group chat.
What?
Oh my god. I mean, that's not bad. It's just one of those,
oh my god. All right.
It's one of those old turkey, not old, but one of those videos where it's like somebody just grilled a turkey leg in tinfoil and then they like just go like this with the bone and the meat just drops off.
Yeah.
It's like McCaffrey's Achilles tendons after the Brazilian steroids went off. Oh shit, dude. That's not good.
That's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so let's go ahead and recap our takes on Niners versus Bears real quick. We were both right. The Bills were gonna win this game. You are taking the 49ers, and I am also going to take the 49ers. Bounce back this week. I think I like it. I'll take the 49ers in this one. All right.
I almost want to pick the Bears. I almost want to pick them.
I almost want to as well, but all right. Like, I don't think I'm ready to jump completely off the ship that the Niners are going to lose every single game. Like, they're not in tank mode.
That's one that I'll have to text you. Yeah, that's one that I'll have to text you Sunday morning and be like, you know what? I'm picking the Bears. Fuck it. But right now I'm 51% Niners.
I'm like 60% Niners, maybe 70. Yeah. I'm like 60. Let's call it 65% Niners. I'm thinking that they'll probably win this one.
Yeah. I mean, this is a must win, dude. You got Rams, Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals.
It's not gonna. It shouldn't be bad weather. Tomorrow we fucking get like a weather alert. There's gonna be a monsoon in Santa Clara.
Yes. Bury a monsoon incoming Saturday. No, but just looking at the remainder of the schedule really quick. Take away the Lions game, like these aren't easy games coming up for the Niners, but at least they can still control their destiny. Like the Dolphins are beatable, we know that. The Bears are beatable, we know that. And then the Rams and Cardinals are division opponents where if you guys pull out the wins against those teams, you're making big ground in the division, you know?
Yeah.
So at that point, it's just a matter of what are the Seahawks doing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's sort of project. The Niners beat, like let's just say they beat the Bears. That would put them at 6-7. If they beat the Rams, 7-7. 8-7.
8-8.
8-8. 9-8.
So you're trying to win the division at 9-8?
Yeah,
and that's for the 7th seed.
That's the floor that you set back in August for the team.
Man,
look at you. That's assuming they win these games. For all I know, they can lose this week.
They might lose most of them. Yeah,
they can lose to the Rams because the Niners they did lose to the Rams earlier this season. They didn't even have Puka or Kupp or their starting linemen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. But let's focus on this one. Niners, I think, will be back on top this week, at least over the Bears. Say what you want about the Bears. The Niners are not the Bears. Or say what you want about the Niners. They're not the Bears.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of Frank's comments. Frank has been, very supportive of the channel over the past couple weeks. We definitely appreciate all the comments. If anybody else is watching and wants to comment live, we'll put your comment on the screen. We'll give you a good answer. Frank says, both of these teams are going to come hard. Comment of the day. Was it you about who was the one that said Kyle shit in hand? Was that Frank?
I don't know.
I forget. If that was you, Frank, let me know. But Frank is coming with the heat. Frank is coming hard. Frank says, this could be the 49ers' last chance for a win, and the players know it. In terms of the Super Bowl? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the window for sure. I mean,
the window for this team is all right. Let's just be honest. I think they missed their window last year. That might have been the last year. Well, this one for sure was the last year if they were going to do it, but they just did not come with the proper energy this season. They were deflated. It's Super Bowl hangovers. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. There is no, it's not always black and white. Like you're always going to have a bad season the next season. Like it doesn't always happen, but I mean, it happens a lot more. Like, it does happen a lot. Frank says, pile shit in hand.
There you go.
I love it. You know, it was shit, you know, just shit in hand, or it might have been Kyle shit in hand, but now it's pile. You know, we're adding on.